everybody and welcome to this brand new video. In case you don't know me yet, my name is Viv. I own a lot of books and I hope that I can one day say I've read them all. That's the end goal here. Today we're gonna do something a little different. Usually I just talk about the books. Today I'm gonna talk about myself, which feels weird and I usually only do this with my therapist, so it's gonna be fun. All jokes aside, you guys asked me questions over on my Instagram and over also here on the YouTube. Anyway, you guys asked me questions and today I'm gonna answer all of them as good as I can to the best of my abilities. And by the way, please feel free to answer those questions as well. I would be really interested to get to know you guys as well. So if there is a question where you have an answer to, just drop it down below and I'll be very happy to get to know you and you get to know me. I like the concept of that. Let's go! Alright, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is introduce myself because who am I? I already told you my name is Viv, my actual name is Vivian, so Viv is just the nickname for that and I think it's very cute, so everybody calls me either Viv or Vivi, so feel free to do that as well. And I am 22 years old, turning 23 in November. I am a Scorpio, in case anybody was wondering. And I've generally always had a huge love for books. I think it started when my parents read me books when I was tired and I was about to go to sleep. My parents were always like, okay, we're gonna read you one chapter of one book. And for some reason, my favorite was one of those pirate books. I loved pirate books. I still love pirate books. I'm getting ahead of myself. I am a very grey romantic asexual, so maybe that's something that influences the way that I see books, which just means basically I'm not that into the spice in the books. I do read them, sometimes I do enjoy them, but if there is no spice, I'm generally happier than if there is any. Anyway, I don't have to justify this. This is my personal opinion, this is just me. And I think we're now getting into the questions. There is one question that I would put into this introduction part, and that is, how many books do you have? A lot. I have a lot of books. You can see all of them in my bookshelf tour up here. I'm gonna just link it for you. But in total, I made a list. I have 518 books. But that's my hobby. Books are my life. Of course I have a lot of books. Out of those 518 books, I have 225 books that I haven't read yet. Which I technically think is that's pretty good, right? That means that I've read more than half of the books on my shelf. And with that, I think we're going to the next category, which I am calling book recommendations, because one of the questions was, which book are you currently reading? And honestly, that changes every single day, but right now I'm reading Death the Bookseller. This book is without the dust jacket right now. The dust jacket is very, very green, but it's kind of pretty. It's a thriller because I felt like it's about to be fall and then now it's 30 degrees Celsius again and I'm sweating, but I'm still in the mood for this thriller. And it is kind of hard to get into just because it's very slow paced and I'm not sure what's going on. I enjoy thrillers that start with a death or a murder, and that's not this one. So I'm just not entirely sure what's going on, but something is going on. So for the next question, I just had to get up and grab some books because that one is, which ones are your favorite books? Now, I have a lot of books that I really, really enjoy. Overall, I think if you go to my Goodreads, I have my 5 stars. Those are top tier. And then I also on my Instagram have multiple posts with these are my favorite books. But I just grabbed some for you and I'm just going to show you really, really fast. I'm not going to talk about them. We have Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Flawless, but in this case just the whole Chestnut Springs series is really, really great. The Bridge Kingdom, this is incredible. Once Upon a Broken Heart, these are the US covers. I also have the UK covers. I'm obsessed with this series. And then The Most Intimidating Book, The Priory of the Orange Tree. I love this so much. Absolute favorite. I adore it. I've read it multiple times. It is super thick. I love this thing. So the next question is, what is the prettiest book on your shelf? And honestly, I cannot answer that because I think all of my books are beautiful. I adore the way books look, I adore books with like hidden covers, just like when you have this and then you open it up and it has a different cover. That's just my thing. I love that so much. But I don't think I can answer that question. Next topic that we're going to get into is reading habits, or I'm calling it reading habits. And the first question in that category technically is, how do you decide what book to read next? Answer is I don't. I don't decide. At least I don't decide very well, because I am the biggest mood reader. This month is the only month where I actually managed to like pick a TBR and kind of stick to it. Not completely, but kind of. So I am working on it, but generally I just stand in front of my bookshelf for like 5 minutes and stare at every single book that I have not read, and then I pick the one that just looks perfect to me. And in this case, it was Death of a Bookseller. Okay, so next up is, where is your favorite reading spot? Now, the thing is, I don't necessarily have a favorite reading spot because I am living in my dorm room. This is my college room. I only have this room, and it is pretty small. So if I turn this around, I'm gonna show you. It's just my bed. My bed is my favorite place to read. It's comfy, it's cozy, it has fairy lights. I just sit there for hours and I read. Sometimes I also read on the floor, right here, but generally I read in my bed. The next question is, do you read the book before you watch a movie? And that is actually something that changed about me very much, because I used to do that a lot when I was a kid. Like when I was watching and reading Harry Potter, I always like read the book first and then I watched the movie. And I did that like same with the Maze Runner books, with the Divergent books, just because the movies always came out after I read the books. I also did that with like Twilight. So the OG ones, I read the books and then I watched the movie, and then I didn't like the movie. So in general, I feel like I enjoyed a lot more if I first watch the movie and then I enjoy the movie, and then I read the book and then I realize the movie was crap. That's my go-to move, and it usually always works because the books are so much better than the movies. And if you watch the movie first, then you're not as disappointed, I feel like. But for example, with Red, White, and Royal Blue, which came out yesterday or the day before yesterday, anyway, with that one, I read the book ages ago, and I might even reread the book now that I've seen the movie. But in general, now I prefer to watch the movie first and then read the book. If it is a series, though, I don't watch TV series. I cannot for the life of me do that. The only one that I have watched multiple times is Heartstopper, just because I love Alice Oseman so much. And I didn't talk about the Heartstopper books in my favorites. They are my favorites, though. I have so many. Okay, so the next category I'm calling books, challenges, and goals, because these are generally just my reading goals. Talking about reading goals, do you set yourself a reading goal? I used to set myself a reading goal, so I am like in the last 2-3 years, I set myself a reading goal going up. First year was like 50, and then it was like 70, and then it was 100. And then this year I set myself a Goodreads goal of 1 book, which I already read on like January, I don't know, 2nd or something. And from then, it's just skyrocketed, and I think now I've read like 115 books this year. My actual goal that I set at the beginning of the year was to have a TBR below 100. I don't see that happening, so my current goal is just to get my TBR below 200, and that way I can slowly work myself down. And the next question is, have you participated in any reading challenges? I can link my reading challenges up here. These are all the 24-hour reading thingies that I did, which I absolutely hate, but still do because I like to torture myself. But yeah, I did those. Now, we're going into the category that is like reading / personal life, and how I get all of that into like one thing. So what do I do in my personal life was the first question. I am a college student. I am in my 4th year in my master's. It's the 1st year in my master's program, 4th year of just like university. I am studying biology, so I'm in the lab a lot. So if you see me in a lab coat somewhere, that is my actual lab coat. I have that. I wear that because I work with cells and I do a lot of PCRs and I just do things. So I'm a biology student. And then the question kind of connected to that is, how do you find time to read in your daily schedule? And honestly, that's a question that I get a lot, but I don't really understand. Just the answer is simple. I make time for reading. Like sometimes when somebody says like, "Hey, do you have time tonight?" I'm like, "No, I'm reading because that's what I do. It's my hobby and I take time for it." Same as if you were like going to the gym. If that's like the thing that you do, then you were like, "Okay, I can't tonight. I'm going to the gym." And I'm like, "I can't tonight. I'm reading." So I make time for reading, and I usually always carry my Kindle with me and I just have a book on me at all times. So when I'm on the bus, on the train, on the plane, wherever I am reading, and that's a good thing. Also connected to that is, what is the one thing that you do when you're not reading? And honestly, I'm not sure what to say because all I do is read. All I do is read. I am probably one of those people who have like very, very low, like if Netflix had like statistics the way that Spotify does, my Netflix statistic would be very low just because I don't watch Netflix or Disney Plus or anything a lot. Sometimes I do, but in general, I just read. So I would say my hobby, like what I do except for read, is like chill with my friends, see my friends, go out with my friends, not partying, more like eating. Because I don't do parties. So the next few questions are questions about my social media and my social media presence. So the first question is, what made you start your Bookstagram / YouTube like channel? And the answer to that is actually kind of funny because I was in a huge reading slump for like years when I was in university. And then like about 3 years ago, I decided, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get back into reading. And then I ordered the ACOTAR series. That's the book that started it all again. I ordered ACOTAR and I was immediately sucked into that world and I started reading a lot more books and I ordered a lot more books. And then my dad said, "You know what? Why do you all order all of these books?" And then I was like, "I want them. I need to have them. Like, they're my babies." And then he was like, "Well, can't you at least do something with them?" And then I was like, "Huh, you know what? Maybe I can. Maybe I can use the fact that I have a lot of books and that I am so obsessed with them and that I want to talk about them all the time to actually do that online and talk to other people about books." And that has worked out really well for me. I enjoyed a lot. I have a lot of people that I can just talk to about books and just connect with others that love reading as much as I do. And I think that's the best part of it. And then with the YouTube, I decided that later on just because I had so much to say about books that would not fit in the length of a reel, honestly. And just because that was an issue for me, I started a YouTube and I was like, you know what? I can talk for hours. And if you're willing to listen, then I can talk for more hours. The next category, I would call this future plans. Now, I am not entirely sure what to say to this because the question is, are there any plans to like in the future to like change things with your content, with anything? And I have to say I don't have any plans. I'm not sure. I have no idea where this is going. I am of course planning to keep going, planning to keep making content because that's just something that I really enjoy doing and it's fun. I am not entirely sure if I want to like really do this as like a career job thing because I love biology as well and I really want to work in a lab one day. And I also want to write a book, so those are all things that I want to do in my future, but I honestly have no idea. And yeah, those were actually all of your questions that you asked me. I hope that you had the chance to like get to know me a little more. In case you have any more questions, put them down below for like the next Q&A that I'm gonna make one day, someday, we don't know. We might do this a little more regularly if you have a lot of questions. Also, in case you have any questions like about asexuality and like aromanticism, I would be very glad to answer those. So in case that is something you're interested in, also tell me down below. I also have a lot of like books about asexuals. So in case you are interested in that, please tell me. I would be really interested in making a video because I feel like it's something that not a lot of people know about generally. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching this with me. And I will see you for the next video, I think. Yeah. Goodbye! In case this is the first video of me that you're watching, in the end I always do a little book recommendation. And today's book recommendation is right in time for fall. A good guy's guide to... Today's book recommendation is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is such a fun book. This is a book where Pip, the main character, decides for like one of her school projects to investigate an old murder case, and she finds out so much, and there is like a huge problem in this town where she lives, and nobody believes her because she actually thinks that the person who was condemned for the murder years ago actually is innocent. This is her journey of proving that case and making a podcast out of it, and it's very, very, very fun. And I like this series a lot. It's 3 books, all by the same author, all about this size. Really good to start with, really good to like get into thrillers. It's also YA, so it's not too dark. I can only encourage you to read this, and with that, I'm gonna end this video, and I hope you have an awesome day. I hope you pick up a book, and I will see you next time. Bye!